Hey there, my name is Alana and I'm a multimedia designer. In this video, I'm going to show you how to animate a bouncing icon in After Effects and export it as an emoji GIF for Slack. Let's get started. We're going to prepare our asset in Figma. Look for the link to this Figma file in the description. The theme here is things that don't bounce, so go ahead and choose your icon or create your own following these guidelines. We're working in a square frame since this is the format we need for Slack. We want the icon to be as big as possible since emojis in Slack are displayed very small, but also with enough room top and bottom for the bounce. We also want this icon to work over light or dark backgrounds, so check to see if it has enough contrast and recolor as necessary or as you'd like. Based on the icon, you might want to export it as one asset or as a few assets. For example, we could animate the bee's wings flapping or perhaps the coin floating up as the piggy bank bounces. Go ahead and group your elements accordingly and give them a name in the Layers panel. When you're ready, export the icon as a PDF. Having a vector format will allow us to play around with the scale of the icon without reducing the quality. Since we can't import an SVG into After Effects without using a plugin, PDF is a good option. Who knows, you might want to incorporate this animation into some future project, so it's usually best to make it scalable to avoid having to reanimate it in the future. Let's open up After Effects now and set up our composition. We're going to work in a common square format of 1080 by 1080 pixels. For the frame rate, let's use the industry standard of 29.97, 30 frames per second. Our animation is going to be less than a second long, so set the duration to something close to that. As a best practice, always name layers and compositions. Let's import our asset from the project panel with Command I and create an assets folder. We can drag the graphic into our comp. To start, let's create the first frame for our bouncing object. We want to have this little shadow underneath the icon, so double-click the ellipse tool at the top. Let's make this shadow a little smaller than the width of our object and align it to the bottom to maximize the space. Our object can go in the middle of the shadow. Don't forget to name the layer. Let's move on now to animating our object. First, let's move the anchor point of this layer to the bottom by turning on snapping, hitting the Y key on your keyboard, and then dragging it down to the bottom. Now, on the layer, hit P for position, or twirl down the layer's properties. We'll put a keyframe at the bottom here in the middle at 10 frames in on the timeline. At the start, let's align this object to the top of the frame. We'll do the same for the very end, so copy and paste the keyframe at the beginning to the ending position. Now let's create a work area by hitting B on our keyboard for beginning and N for the end. Control-0 is the shortcut to play a RAM preview, or you can use the preview panel. If you're ever looking for a panel in After Effects, they're all under the Window nav item. So this is the basic animation, but we haven't applied squash and stretch yet, which is going to make the movement look much more natural and fun. Now, let's go to the middle keyframe. Here, we want the object to be squashed, so let's open the Scale property by hitting S. We're going to unlock the proportions so we can scale X and Y properties independently. So here, let's set X to 107% and Y to 80%. You can use basic commands here such as an asterisk for multiply or input the number. As the object is moving up or down, we want them to stretch. So 3 frames before and after, we'll use 80% for X and 100% for Y. Copy and paste the keyframe. If we play it back now, it's coming along, but it looks a bit clunky. To smooth it out, let's add easing on all keyframes. Hit U on your keyboard to reveal them all, select them, right-click, Keyframe Assistant, and Easy Ease. Play around with this scaling as you'd like until you get the desired effect. Let's finish the shadow. In its Scale property, let's add a keyframe at the start and end, and also one in the middle. At the start and end, we want the shadow to be smaller so it gives the effect that the object is further away. Let's unlock the proportions and set the X value to 45% for each end. Let's give this one Easy Ease as well to match the motion of the object. Now that the animation is ready, let's export it. Under Composition, let's add it to Adobe Media Encoder. In Adobe Media Encoder, let's set the size to 128 pixels. You can turn on dithering, and what I found works best here is using 50 frames per second. For slack, the GIF needs to be under 128 kilobytes. You can check the size in Finder using Command I. Here's what your project file should look like once you're done. Upload the GIF to Slack by using the Add Emoji button. Here you can see a preview in light or dark modes. Thanks for watching.